Hundreds of millions of dollars in losses. All right, this is what happened. A fire at a power substation near Europe's busiest airport, that's London's Heathrow. It triggered a power outage. The fire is now under control, but the fallout just causing ramp chaos. CNN's Richard Quest was on a flight from Brazil to London as it all unfolded.
We boarded the plane. Everybody was really calm about it. We learned very quickly about the fire in Hayes, and it soon became obvious we weren't going anywhere.
All right, CNN's Nada Bashir is live outside Heathrow Airport, which is all but shut down.
Absolutely. Heathrow is at a standstill, John, at least for the rest of the day, according to Heathrow officials. But it could take much, much longer to get the airport back up and running as a result of that power outage caused by the fire at the substation in Hayes, just about 4 miles from where we are now. According to Britain's Energy Secretary, the backup generator as well was also impacted by the fire. So there are real questions as to how long it will take to get Heathrow back up and running as a result of this total power outage. And of course, this has caused total chaos as well for passengers and airlines who had been planning to travel through Heathrow Airport. We've been hearing from the flight tracking radar team as to the knock-on effect this will have. Hundreds of flights cancelled. That's just today. Tens of thousands of passengers potentially impacted. Take a listen.
Anything that hasn't already crossed an ocean or multiple continents is heading back towards where it came from. The majority of those flights are wide-body aircraft with lots of people on board, and so you're going to need large parking spaces for those aircraft as well. And so that's going to be a logistical nightmare.
Now, of course, we have heard updates from London's fire brigade. They have said that the fire at the substation has been now placed under control, but it could take hours, if not days, for a full investigation to be carried out as to what caused the fire. Emergency services were called to the incident at around 11:20 p.m. last night, and we've been speaking to residents in the nearby area who were terrified at the large blaze that was ongoing near this residential area. At this stage, as we understand it, no residential buildings were damaged. The fire has been contained, but of course a huge amount of damage and of course concern for the situation at Heathrow Airport.
Yeah, I just simply can't imagine what the implications are with Heathrow closed and no word yet on when it might reopen. Nada Bashir, thank you very much.
We know, Heathrow, one of the busiest airports in the world, some 250,000 passengers flying through there. Exactly how much chaos could this cause?
Oh, look, this event is unheard of. It is an absolute logistical nightmare for not only the airport itself, but of course the many affected airlines. There will be some 1,300, 1,400 flights affected for weeks to come by this event.
Yeah, weeks to come. The knock-on effects here. Explain why it would take so long, even if they were to fix this relatively quickly. Why would the knock-on effects last for possibly weeks?
That's exactly right. I guess there's two phases to what we're seeing. Phase one is dealing with the aircraft that are airborne at the moment. That's about alternates and that sort of thing. But as you rightly say, phase two is about moving from disruption through to regular scheduled services. And that's incredibly complex because as a result of phase one, you have aircraft that are not necessarily where you thought they would be. They're at airports that are not their planned alternates. Then they're at airports that do not necessarily have the support services that the airlines originally intended. And so you have to establish those things, and that takes time. You've got pilots and flight crew and cabin crew and so forth that'll be out of flight and duty time. It's an incredibly complex thing to get the cogs spinning again and to integrate aircraft that are not where you expected them to be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you look at the types of flights that are coming here. We're talking about huge airplanes, passengers who are transiting from other continents and so on. These passengers won't necessarily be first in the queue to get back on the next flights, right? They could be bumped for a while. So you have to think about those poor poor people who are now on these almost indefinite layovers.
That's exactly right. It's not only the aircraft themselves that are, as I was saying, diverted to alternates that were unexpected, because the alternates then became filled with capacity. So the aircraft's gone to somewhere else. But you've got flights that didn't even depart. The flow on a flex through what we would call a complex socio-technical system, the flow on a flex are incredible and really will go on for weeks to come.
Yeah. In terms of, you touched on this, I mean, alternatives, like Gatwick, in terms of diverting to other airports and so on, I mean, how does that work? Do they have, how much capacity do they have?
Yeah, so as I say, for me, that's what I call phase one in dealing with this event. It's dealing with the aircraft that are airborne. And that's about alternates. That's a routine thing that pilots and airlines do, is you would routinely plan for an alternate. Usually that's weather-based. You may not be able to land due to really poor weather conditions, for example. So as part of your routine planning, you would ordinarily plan for an alternate. The problem we have here is what happens when your alternate needs an alternate, and that alternate needs an alternate because those alternates have become filled to capacity because other aircraft are there. So the provision of an alternate is not just about, is the runway long enough and, can we go and land there with instrument approaches and things like that. The hard part is you need all the support services to be there at that alternate. So ground crew, baggage handling crew, terminal staff, all those arrangements. So alternates are a routine thing, but the problem we have here is your alternate needs an alternate.
Yeah, exactly right. And talking about alternates, let's talk about the power itself. I mean, we know the power needs of an airport are so massive. What do we know about the power source for Heathrow and why there wouldn't be adequate backup power if something like this should happen?
Yeah, so I think that's a very interesting question that'll be asked in the months and indeed year to come with the reviews that go on from this. Why is there no redundancy? That's certainly one of the first things I thought. Why can there be a single failure in the system and yet it causes such catastrophe? That's certainly something I'm sure investigations will explore, but absolutely, there needs to be more than one fail-safe in a system like this airport. We need redundancy.
Yeah, it's no comfort to the thousands of passengers who are stranded now, and as you say, the knock-on effects that could take weeks to unfold here. Tony Stanton in Sydney, I really appreciate having you on. Thank you so much. And we're joined now by Molly Zhang. She's a student who was waiting to fly from Boston to London Heathrow, but was stuck on the tarmac at the U.S. airport for 3 hours. And she joins me now on the phone. Molly, thanks so much for being here with us. Sorry, you were embroiled in all of this chaos. How did you find out about what was going on?
Oh, yeah. So back that time, I was just waiting at the airplane, and after we boarding, they announced that we have to wait due and the issues at Heathrow. And at first, they only tell us to wait for an hour, but later it turns to be waiting for almost 3 hours.
Oh my gosh! And we're showing some of the video that you took on the plane as the people were looking on their phones and checking to see what the heck was going on. Was there a lot of confusion and anger while people were waiting?
Yeah, because there is we are in the midnight now in America, so due to the time, everyone is exhausted and really stressful.
Oh my gosh. So where exactly are you right now?
I'm in Boston, some hotel nearby the airport. The British Airways, they arranged most of us to one hotel, but due to the time we have to waiting for check-in, I have been waiting for another long time.
Mm-hmm. And have they told you when you might actually be able to fly to London? Because right now, I mean, the fire is still ongoing. They don't know right now when power will be restored.
Yeah, so all they tell us is just waiting at the hotel and checking the email and hopefully for the best, we can take off like for tomorrow afternoon. But that just, I hope so.
Yeah. Gosh, it must be so frustrating not knowing when you'll be able to fly. What were you planning to do in London? Were you going on from there, or was that your destination? And what were you planning to do there?
Yeah, I'm supposed to visiting my friend, and I have like a whole bunch of spring break travel plan. But now everything is just being disturbed.